Really excited to be joined today by Elisa Mevius, guard over at the University of Oregon, also a gold medalist for Germany at 3x3, first basketball gold medal for Germany. Elisa, first and foremost, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Excited. Happy to be here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you making the time. I've obviously watched your game for a while, excited to kind of chop it up and break down some stuff with you. Um, but to start, I want to ask, what has summer been like, especially knowing going into your senior year? Obviously, I know you've been busy with 3x3 had Nations League this summer. How's everything kind of just been going in terms of staying in the flow and knowing season's right around the corner?
I don't know if you heard, I broke my scaphoid bone in my
Hmm.
shooting hand.
Yeah,
Right when like the tournament was. So I was
yeah,
kind of trying to, get back in shape, get back into my flow, trying to find my shot again and like be healthy and honestly just play. So it was perfect that I had 3-on-3. We just had like so many tournaments. We did Nations League and we qualified for the World Cup, U23 in September. So just like a lot of playing, a lot of tournaments, so much fun. I'm feeling good too about my hand, so really
good.
happy.
No, I'm glad to hear that. Obviously, I've been seeing some of your games lately. You've been hooping. It looks like you're back to full stop. What was that like for you having to deal with the hand injury, by the way? Because like I think one of the things that was really tough with it, obviously you guys were playing well as a team, but it
Mhm.
felt like you had really found your groove as a player. I think you had 3 or 4 straight double-digit games, really starting to kind of like find your groove on offense. So how did you handle that, and what was recovery like for you?
It was funny. Now looking back, it was funny because I played on it broken for a month.
Yeah,
So all those games where I was like, finding my shot again, my hand was like totally broken. So it was kind of, from my mind, it was kind of hard, to make the decision to have surgery, even though it's only like 2 or 3 weeks of season left. But then the recovery went pretty well. I was in a cast. It was my first major injury too, so I never had surgery. So that was like a new experience. I'm not really patient, so
I
let's just say I
very
was
much
struggling a
understand
little
that.
bit.
Yeah.
But you get healthy. After 3 months, I could start shooting again. We were limiting my shots a little bit, and then I jumped right back into the World Cup. No breaks from that point on, and it's been great.
No,
It's
I
really
love
good.
that.
I have good physios around, so I always have people that look out for me a little bit, hold me
Yeah.
back because I like to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, it kind of comes across though, and just like seeing anything you've spoken on, like you do seem to have a very level head of recognizing, like, okay, I need to, you know, obviously you mentioned patience is not always the easiest, but being able to take some time off and like notice, like, all right, I need to let this heel get right. So that's nice to see. But I want to ask too, in terms of 3x3, like, how did you first get started with it? Because you have a very interesting background in that, like,
Mhm.
obviously, you've risen to being a power level player. I'd argue you were a power level player before getting to be in college. But I think part of what was interesting is like you really didn't play in a lot of FIBA stuff until 3x3. Like I know you did U16,
Yeah.
but like so in a lot of ways, I feel like people in college maybe didn't get to see you as much. So what
Mhm.
was that like for you in not necessarily being part of some of those youth competitions that get more of those eyes?
Yeah, I think so. I started with the U15, U16, and then
Hmm.
the coach just kind of decided that I think my value is bigger in 3-on-3.
Hmm.
But at that point, 3-on-3 wasn't, as big and well known. It was more like street ball. But
Yeah.
then, I kind of found my game within 3-on-3. I don't think that without it, I would be the same player. I had a really good coach. He also was the coach at the Olympics. He has been supporting me ever since I started playing 3-on-3, and he's like, seeing a lot of potential in me. So I think just his trust and, the possibility to play and experience a lot of different scenarios with 3-on-3, even though it's a different sport, I think it's still, you need to be really skilled. And it's like, it's exhausting. I
Yeah.
think Tiffany Hayes, she said in like an interview after the Olympics that it's like 10 minutes of hell because you're just running around so fast. So it was just super, super different, but definitely got me back in shape. Um, I kind of was like, upset here and there when I wasn't playing 5-on-5 because obviously those FIBA tournaments are super cool and I saw them. But I think 3-on-3 just gave me like way more and a stage too, especially now that it's getting bigger.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's such a great point because like so much of it is how you approach it mentally, right? And in development, I think that always goes undersold in like developing as a player. So much of it is being accepting of new ways and being able to be adaptable. And it speaks to your game that you're able to do that because I totally agree with what you're saying in terms of like you really took 3x3 and like I mean you see the 3x3 in your game and how you play and honestly and how you move on the court too, which is something we'll talk about in a minute. But like yeah, it's such a different game. You mentioned the 10 minutes of hell is a perfect way to describe it because I think so often in basketball, like obviously it depends what offense you play within, but if you play in like a more set offense, you can go like, 2 or 3 minutes, but like, yeah, you're still out there jogging on court, but you might
Mhm.
not be in a possession necessarily. You might just be spacing. But in 3x3, no, you are all go all the time.
No breaks.
Yeah. So in terms of like stamina building, what was that like for you? Kind of the first time you experienced 3x3, you're like, oh, this is different.
The first time I was 16, I think, and it was a tournament where the national team had like a camp. So they had like the
Mhm.
national teams, and I was with my friends and I didn't know anything about 3 and 3 and I was just hooping, like I was just doing whatever. And afterwards the coach came to me and was like damn, like you almost beat our hands single-handed. And I was like, okay, like I love it. It's so much fun. I immediately felt like, you know, I always like to play pick and roll. I always liked street ball. And I just felt like it all just kind of connected and fit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like honestly, that's so much of where the game is headed to. Being creative, being able to have
Mhm.
multiple players make decisions. Um, and I wanted to speak, keeping on 3x3 because I have a couple more questions. With
I
3x3
love that.
though, I know so I've heard you talk about like the biggest difference for you from oscillating between the two is like 5x5, you honestly have less space to move around in
Mhm.
some ways. And it's funny because I listened to that while I was watching back some games. And I was like, you can notice in watching your game, especially early on in the season where you're like, oh, you feel like you have more room to go here and you
Yeah.
don't quite. And like I think part of what's cool with that is because you're such a creative passer, you can get yourself out of a lot of those situations.
Mhm.
But like what is that adaptation process like? Because you see and use space so differently in 3x3.
Yeah. It's always hard to go from 3 and 3 to 5 on 5. I also think that in 3 and 3, I'm very much going full speed one way,
Yeah.
and then I change and I'm open. And in 5 on 5, you have to kind of like work without, that much space. So in the beginning, I'm always, my coaches say I dribble into crowds. And I feel like it's so hard to just get a layup. I'm like, I'm never gonna have a wide open layup because in 3 on 3, sometimes you do. So I think it just a little bit of time for your mind to adapt again.
Hmm.
And also, like, just to get the groove and the feeling back to have that many people on the court. But
Yeah.
after a couple months, like, especially when I go back to Oregon, I know we're gonna practice every single day. So I know it's gonna be, I'm not too worried, even though it's such a big change. But
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's interesting because I brought that up and we'll dive into it on film, but I feel like you can really notice from early on in the year compared to later, like your pacing and ball screens and like how you would like pull up and wait for a second and to let your screen set up,
Mhm.
like develop some time because I feel like again part of the difficult part is like especially like I mean sight lines are so different. Like it's something you don't think about, but like sight lines are different, driving lanes look different, like everything just looks different. And
Different
so it's
sport,
you
it's
have to
crazy.
you have to adapt to different patterns and seeing things differently
Mhm.
and like so it's just fascinating within that.
And the ball's different too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So sometimes
a
you
little bit
struggle as
heavier,
well.
right?
Yeah, so for like the shooting
Hmm.
rhythm and all that. I remember my freshman year, I did the same thing. I went from 3 and 3 to 5 on 5, and my passes were all going, I don't even know. They were way too strong, all of them.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. I wanted to ask too. So correct me if you feel otherwise, but like to me, when I think of Germany, I think of forwards. I think of wings. That is like I mean, even the German national team, I think it was like Alexis Peterson is like one of the only guards on the team.
Yeah.
Germany is very much a forward dominant country and kind of has been for a long time. So I was wondering who was kind of like was there somebody you really looked up to in the sport or somebody that you really wanted to model your game after because again, like we just don't typically see a ton of guards come out of Germany. So what has that kind of been like for you?
That's the funny part. I get people ask me that question a lot, and I never had like a woman necessarily that was like my idol. But I always played with guys.
Hmm.
So I think just playing with them, and I kind of had to be creative because obviously I was like, little and like not as strong and not as fast. So that was kind of the part. And I love Kobe and like I loved Paige Buckers when I was younger, and now
Yeah.
it's so crazy that we're like kind of the same age, and she's
Hmm.
like in the league now, but we played in college for a year together. So she was like the woman player I was kind of following. And then when I started going to college, obviously Sabrina, with the Oregon connection, just and I met her too. Like she's my idol now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And you can kind of see that. I mean, you definitely bring a swagger to the court. You're someone who gets very excited with plays, like which I appreciate. I don't know how much you've watched the Marino Johannes. I think obviously you guys are different players,
Oh
but
my
I
God,
think
I
in
love
terms
her
of like
so much. I
the
forgot about her.
creativity,
No,
the
yeah,
willingness to make a play, I think I see that a lot too. Particularly when you're playing 3x3 and you like are showing your full confidence with the ball. I
her
think
one
like
leg 3-point shot. Do
yeah.
that. I'm scared to get subbed out, but I want to do it at some point.
I'm scared to get subbed out is a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah,
You definitely need a lot of freedom to be able to play
yeah,
like that.
definitely.
Um,
But she's amazing.
yeah. So last thing I wanted to ask before we get into the film, in terms of just coming to the States, I know if I remember correctly, your high school coach at the time originally kind of set you up for going to
Mhm.
Siena. What was that process like for you coming over here to the States and obviously, going through the portal as well and getting to Oregon?
I was really nervous at first because of the language barrier.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, the first 3 months, I don't think I said anything at all. I was so shy. But then you kind of, you get into the group, and then just playing wise, I think I was lucky because at Siena we had 9 freshmen coming in.
Hmm.
So we were just, all kind of new and all kind of young. And then I kind of established a good relationship with my coach and the role as a starting point guard. So then the fact that I could just play, I think I was leading the nation in like minutes. I was playing at 39 on average. That's just amazing to me. Like, I
Yeah.
just think that was really beneficial. And then the transfer portal, I mean, I always kind of knew that Siena wasn't going to be like, my ending point. I just wanted it to be good start coming into the States. I didn't know how good the competition level was. So then when my stats were good and I had like the first team and the defensive player and the steals and all that, I kind of figured I could try to go into the portal. And then it was just overwhelming. But when I saw Oregon, they were kind of my favorite already. So I was kind of just a dream come true.
Yeah.
I have to think much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I already had the German connection with the Saglu sisters, so
Exactly.
hard to beat that. Um, yeah, well, okay, lastly then, you mentioning, like, the language barrier. I didn't realize that, so did you just not speak very much English coming to the States at first?
I'm super dyslexic, or at
Okay,
least, in high school I was always struggling with German. And then in English it got even worse.
yeah.
Then I was just also like my professor, she was not the best professor. She was kind of telling me that you're not gonna survive over there. She was not
Oh,
really
no.
feeding me with confidence. So I was just, a little shy, a little, I don't know, scared to make a mistake. But I had good friends and we had a lot of internationals as well. So then we could kind of all, they wouldn't, laugh about you when you say something wrong. And then it
Yeah,
was just, at some point
yeah.
you get to the language and now I feel like it's good.
So I'm interested to know what you think, but I feel like one of the things that you really excel at is guarding down and, like, using your length and speed to stay in front of smaller guards. Like, obviously, you can guard across the board, but would you say that's where you feel most comfortable guarding?
Yeah, I think sometimes when I'm like focused, like nobody's gonna get past me. And I like taking charges too sometimes when
Yes.
carrots go downhill. So I was scared that they would call a foul. Sometimes I
Mhm.
reach too much for the ball, but yeah, I definitely like that.
Yeah. What was adapting to that like? Because obviously the way fouls get called is very different in college
So
compared to
different.
anywhere else. And I feel like again that was something you had to deal with this year is like kind of getting accustomed to that. So what was that like for you?
I think also that Siena was a different level.
Yeah.
So I was kind of hoping that, the referees would get a little better going into a better league. Um, I don't think I struggled with fouls very
Mhm.
much this year.
Yeah, no, not
I
at
think
all.
sometimes they call travels without me traveling. That's the only thing. But
Yeah, I'll say they are. Yeah, I do not like how college officials look at. I mean, clearly have never seen a Euro step before, so it's just like whatever. But
I'm trying not to, get into
yeah, can't get
topic.
too mad about it yet because
But
have a whole
yeah, no, but
season
I
to get
think
through them.
I think the league is definitely getting better. I think I sometimes I need to be smarter with the fouls, but I don't think I have like a lot of really dumb fouls
Mhm.
anymore, which I'm at least trying to not have.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Going back to this though, so when you have a player like Shea in front of you, obviously a three-level scorer, somebody who can really be
Yeah.
shifty with the ball, what are you kind of thinking through and feeling in this possession? Like, okay, I'm on an island, shot clock's waning. What are you thinking through?
I know my coach has always told me I need to be in a low stance. So I'm kind of trying, get ready to do like the little jump out step. And then I'm trying to see where her eyes are looking, where her shoulders are angled to. Um, trying to stay down on fakes most of the time.
Mhm.
You know how they like hezzy and, Americans, they just keep going and
Lots
they
of
get not
hezzies,
a
yes.
counter. Yeah, so I'm trying to stay down and keep my arms up,
Yeah.
probably.
No, absolutely. Getting into this next one, so obviously Indiana runs a lot of actions, like they're just not a stagnant offense at all.
Yeah,
So going through this, first starting off with before we even go through the full possession, guarding a ghost screen. Like I know you guys worked with a lot of switching this year.
yeah.
What's most important to you in guarding something like this?
You need to see if you don't get hit, you can most likely stay, but then you also have to talk to your other defender. In this example, it's Lexi. So if
Hmm.
Lexi decides to switch and I stay, obviously, somebody makes a mistake. So I think it's easier if you have a call beforehand, um, and then you can switch and you don't have to take steps into the negative direction.
Hmm.
Like if you know that you can switch it, you don't take any more steps in this direction.
No, absolutely. Yeah, especially too, like they have a ton of shooters. It's difficult to kind of guard some of that stuff. And then obviously they work back with another screen. So like I think so much of it is like you said, I like what you hit on with communication. So much of it is like
I
being
think I
able
was
to
too
be on
low
top
on
of it.
this one.
Yeah.
Mm. If I take a step higher, I can even have a steal. Mm.
No, absolutely. Um, yeah, no, I agree. So right here too, going to Iowa, another team that plays a very non-stagnant offense. Um, when you're thinking of playing Iowa, what was kind of like headed into this game, thought process of like, all right, this is how we want to guard. This is what I need to be most focused on.
I mean, we know Lucy, that she's a scorer and she wants to take shots, but then also that she has shooters on the side. Iowa is such a smart team, so we were trying to stay in front of her so that she can create for other people, but also to not let her get hot. I think we did really well that game on her. I
Yes.
think she had like 4 points. Like she was really not doing that much. Um, yeah, so I'm basically just trying to not be too far off her because she can shoot the mid range so well.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And right here too, you guys iced a lot from the middle in this game.
Mm.
So because it's I wanted to ask about this because I think it's so different. Like it's very different to see teams ice literally in the middle of the floor. But you guys did it very effectively, like you said, keep her from being able to use ball screens. So again, what's most important to you in like being able to be as effective with this, especially with somebody like Philly behind you?
Yeah, I think Philly is super good. She's so big, she can contest shots. So I was just trying to get back in front, kind of make Lucy seem like there's no space. And then, I mean, we forced her into Philly, obviously, because we know that when Philly's there, it's hard for her to make a decision. And the
Hmm.
post, I think that Philly was guarding was not necessarily a shooter, or even if we have rotations, because Nani and Deja both are so high,
Hmm.
the spacing in the situation wasn't as crazy.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's a great point. And I think I love to just like you mentioned in terms of not taking negative steps. Like so much in icing is being first one to get into the screen and not letting
Yeah,
them
it's so
use it.
hard to
So yeah,
ice.
it looks a lot easier than it actually is. But you do a really good job in this game. So I think you guys held them they were up for most of the game, and I think you guys held them to like
That game was
10
so much
points in
fun.
the fourth quarter. Yeah, it was nuts to watch live. Um, Back into this one, obviously, I think your ability to cause turnovers and force things back into offense is something where you really excel. And I think just this entire possession, I appreciate. Um, but in terms of like being able to kind of find that in between, right? Like you mentioned, finding the balance of being aggressive and assertive, but also you don't want to leave your man. But part of what makes you a special player is your hands and your anticipation. So
Yeah.
as soon as
I
you
like
see the
gambling.
yeah, as soon as you see the ball leave Chloe's hands, what are you thinking? Are you kind of like processing in your head like, "Oh, I have a chance."
In this situation, especially with those two players, I know that Chloe is more likely the one who's gonna create a shot for herself.
Mhm.
So I think it's Paris, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
perish.
with her driving, there's no space at all. So at this point, I kind of feel like she wants to give the ball away.
Mhm.
She's not that comfortable with the dribbling.
Yeah.
And
No, that's a great
then,
point. And then yeah, I gotta show it because you got it. The layup. Uh,
yeah, I think those are my only points, but I take it.
yeah.
Take it.
Um, so yeah, getting into another team too in Washington. Before we even get into these possessions,
Yeah.
guarding a team that plays more Princeton style, so a lot of post out with them as the playmaker, how does that change things up for you?
I mean, Sellers is insane.
Yeah, she's really tough.
She's
Their whole
nuts.
team
So
is tough. Like their run down the stretch of the season, they had, I mean, like L was averaging like 25 points per game the last month of
yeah,
the
they're so
season.
good. They have great guards. We knew that from the beginning, so I think it was, I like to be the defender that gets put on the best player to just annoy them, or at least make it harder so that they have to invest more energy. Because I
Mhm.
don't think you can stop her all the time, obviously, because she's so good. But with her was kind of similar. I know she's super, super shifty, which makes it so hard to guard her.
No, absolutely. So I want to take these two possessions back to back and tell me what you feel differently about and how they both go. So don't say anything after the first one. We'll wait, run through the second one too. I appreciate trying to draw the foul too. So I wanted to ask, okay, going back to that first one, what did you feel worked better in the second one, or how would you kind of assess the two?
I think the first one, Philly had to take more steps over to Sellers,
Hmm.
and she was more out of position. And the second one, I was kind of faster with getting right in front of her again. Um, I kind of got a hand on the ball when she tried to pass it, or at least I made it a little more annoying.
Yeah.
It could have almost been like a double team, but
No, absolutely. I think you highlight such a great point because I think one of the things that I get most frustrated at as somebody who analyzes the game is like whenever there's a two-player game, people are like, "Oh, well, it's the big's fault," or "Oh, it's the guard's fault." I'm like, so often it's what you do together, right?
mhm.
Because even in the first one, I think you do a pretty good job, but like you mentioned in the second one, I think you do an even better job of getting that first step, being able to keep the ball contained, and then it makes things easier for Philly behind you. So, exactly, working together is honestly the best way to be successful on defense.
Yeah, I don't ever think it's just a one person's mistake.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
absolutely.
sometimes in like extreme
Yeah,
situations,
there
sure.
there are
Like
moments for
if you
sure.
if you fall down and you don't, but like,
Yeah. No, 100%. And then right here, I think this is just a great defensive possession. So again, when it's tied, 90 seconds left, what's going through your head, especially knowing you're guarding like you mentioned earlier, such a shifty player.
for me, see, most of the time it's just focus.
Mhm.
How I'm like literally like in the zone because I need to, be ready for them to move.
Mhm. And yeah, this is to me, this is one of your best ices all year getting over like this.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, that was a hell of a
The
play.
instant pressure. So I sometimes also when I guard those fast guards, I need to, make sure that I pressure them without giving them a lane. I remember freshman year against it was the semifinal. I pressured her too much and she got a layup on me.
Mhm.
So I need to, kind of gamble too, like sometimes pressure them, but then take a step back because I'm anticipating the drive. So a
No,
little bit
absolutely.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense to me. There's always a balance to it, right? Um, So now getting into offense, I want to start with your passing because to me, I think your passing and your creativity and your vision is what stands out the most on offense. So right
Yeah.
here, obviously drawing the closeout, and then you just create a pass at an angle that most people are never gonna see. Like, where did the spin, like, kind of doing some of the spin stuff, just a lot of the more creative angles come from for you? I'm assuming you're gonna say 3x3, but was there anything from that that kind of maybe had the biggest impact on you starting to get some of these angles off?
See, I don't actually know where it comes from. I
Yeah,
just feel like it has always been there.
yeah,
I like the spin move. Sometimes they call it a travel, but I feel like you can do so much with it because like it can be so fast and efficient.
yeah. No, yeah. You can. I think it's just interesting because you can sell so many different things that people aren't thinking about. Like if
Yeah.
you're just, if you just stop here and then pass the ball to Peyton, it's not like it's the bad play, but you're not creating the same thing with it. So it's just
Yeah, because two people are on me, so that's why she got and she was
absolutely,
hitting one before that. She hit two bank
yeah,
shots in a row. It was funny.
yeah. Her range was crazy last year. Um, I want to ask too with regards to your passing. So you are most often an inbounder play,
Mhm.
inbounding player for your team. What do you think is the most important part to being good as an inbounding passer?
I think you can't just focus on one thing. You kinda have
Mm,
to try to see both, even though, your eyes mainly look at one person probably. But so many times there's, like, a switch or, an open pass that is only there for, like, a certain amount. So you kinda have to be ready to just it's risky too. I don't always like inbounding.
yeah.
If nobody's open, you have to, like, I don't know.
Well, that's why I pulled this play because I love this because you have a big on you. I think Inez is yeah, she's 6'3". She's good athlete. You do a really good job selling this fake to get Philly open. Obviously, she does a great job cutting and they blow this play. But
Mhm. Yeah, fakes are so helpful with
yeah,
inbound.
yeah, because I think that's one of the things. So often inbounders they get so like you talked about getting too zoned in or focused on making the right play that they don't see a play
Yeah.
at
No,
all.
it's
So
so stressful. I
yeah.
think it's stressful.
Oh, it looks very stressful. I'm happy that I was never an inbounder, so I didn't have to worry about it. Um, right here too, again, in terms of just creativity, like so much of your guys' offense, obviously, work the ball into Philly. That's bread and butter. But
Yeah.
what I love here, I want to ask you, is this intentional that you kind of fake a DHO to get this into side entry? Because um, I don't know if it was. It looks like it. But I just thought it was a creative way to get her the ball.
Yeah, I think also that sometimes my angle isn't as good,
Hmm.
so then I'm trying to take a dribble to just
Yeah.
get a better angle. And you can
Yeah.
pass it off the dribble too, which makes it more flexible, and you can fake more passes.
Yeah, that's why I love that because, like, exactly, like, I think again, so often people will look at this and be like, "Oh, well, look, Philly's wide open. How do you not get the ball?" I'm like, "Well, that's a lot easier said than done. That's not a very it's a direct pass, but there's also a lot of arms in the way, a lot that can kind of impact it, right?"
Yeah, and I also
Um,
like that if I dribble towards the corner, that they can come to Philly because obviously I'm kinda close to them, so I could just kick it out to the corner because, they help into the post so much, especially with Philly.
Absolutely. No, that's a lot of great insight. But yeah, exactly, because I think so much of if you can just keep your body moving, keep your eyes moving, keep the ball moving, it's a
Yeah,
lot harder to guard a
exactly.
pass. Um, So yeah, getting into even more out of the pick and roll. Oh wait, no, this one isn't pick and roll. My bad. Just the drive.
Wait, that was
Yeah,
the cut.
yeah. In terms of just like playing off of a player like Philly, because I think again, so much of the offense is movement, being able to kind of stay spaced. What do you think is the most important part of being able to kind of play off the way that a defense guards her?
Philly is a good passer as well, so I feel like sometimes she didn't even wanna score as much.
Yeah,
So I think just to try to find, like, the open window and not, hide from the ball
no,
because she wants to
absolutely.
pass it, so especially when you know double team is coming, one of the cuts, either it's gonna be me that's open or it's gonna be Sophia for an open 3.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think exactly like you're saying, being able to be available and just constantly moving is so key in getting that stuff open.
Yeah.
So now getting into your pick and roll game, because I think again that's where your passing can really shine. So when you're coming in, I know this is probably one of the ones where you're talking about. They might say that you're dribbling into a crowd, you draw two, and Philly's able to get a steal. But I love like again, you're just able to get her the ball. When you're coming off this originally, what are you kind of thinking and feeling and wanting to get to?
Mm. I think we try to get better at this, me especially,
Hmm.
when I use a screen that I go close and shoulder to shoulder. I don't think I always do a great job of that. So I was just seeing if Philly's open on the first one because her guy helped,
Hmm.
but then there was, like, a help side and she wasn't in position, so then I'm just trying to get somewhere. I think a lot of I do is intentional as well.
Yeah. Well, again, it's interesting because, like, obviously, it's difficult when you do get cut off, but like you were able to draw two. Philly gets a steal off of it, and I think you do a good job of not letting the ball stick in your hands, right? Like, if this
Yeah.
became a I'm holding the ball for 4 or 5 seconds, that becomes difficult. But because you move the ball fast, you move it well, it helps a lot. Because right here, this is why I have this one next. Because to me, that I mean, these two games are spaced out
Mhm.
by over a month, I think, and you see a
Mhm.
total difference in your pacing, like we talked about. Like just the comfortability and impatience
Uh,
from that first play to this one is immense to me.
yeah, I think Philly wasn't there yet. I tried to create something out of transition
Hmm.
because I think it's so good because, the defense isn't always in position.
Yeah.
That was not even a real screen.
It was close, but I mean exactly like you're talking about. I think you were able to use quickness in early offense
Yeah.
and create something out of it. Like,
Yeah, a lot
you
of
know,
eyes were on me when I drove, so that's
yeah,
good.
no,
And Ari is a
absolutely,
good shooter.
yeah. And I want to ask too, in terms of like when you're assessing something, because I know Kelly gives you guys like a little bit of leeway to play just kind of random out of early offense, right? So
Mhm.
when you're coming down the court and you're seeing what's available, what makes you say, all right, I want to attack on this?
First up, I need to see who's guarding me and if I could potentially beat them, and then, of course, also if there's space. It depends on the corner players, if they're all the way in the corner or if their guy can help on me. Sometimes it just sometimes I'm trying to go super fast, but there's just not much space.
Hmm.
Most of the time, I think we can push the ball, and that's what the coaches want to push the ball, pass it off the court, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's honestly like most of the best offense comes in the first 8 seconds. So
Exactly,
if you
that's
can
what
get the
they
ball
say
moving,
too.
like even like right here, like getting Sophia in open corner three is going to be the best offense for you guys almost,
Yeah. No, most definitely.
very often. So right here too, when you kind of start facing some directional defense and they're trying to force your hand, how do you kind of feel about that? How do you handle when you're getting that kind of pressure as a ball handler?
I wanna get more comfortable with it for sure.
I will say I do think you should have gotten a foul draw on here. You definitely got bumped from behind.
I definitely
Um,
think that too. That's how I felt in this game. I felt like they were super physical on the drive and they just didn't call anything
yeah,
because I think I have a lane
yeah.
and I
No,
think
I
it's a
agree.
lot of contact. It doesn't matter. I think I need to get better a little bit with my handle
Hmm.
in a way. I also want to use the jab step more. I know I most of the time I dribble the ball off the court, so I don't really have like the option to jab. Um, but just yeah, to be like a threat where people are not as close on me anymore because they know I can just beat them.
Definitely. So right here too, getting
Crazy that
into
they didn't call that.
yeah, no, I agree. When I was watching that one through, I was like, that is a bad miss, but it happens. Right here too. So in terms of just your creativity and angles, when you're getting two on the ball, what's kind of first thing you're thinking and feeling, knowing obviously Amina's a great roller.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking for, my other player because I have like they're defender on me, and then looking at the help side, trying to see if they help in because then obviously somebody has to be open if two are on me.
Hmm. And this is again where we're talking about the creative angles because I think so often somebody's going to try and hit the overhead or make it a pocket pass. Instead, you're like, let me just pull it back across my body and whip it. Like you don't see a lot of people do that, and I think part of why I love it is it's really effective because you catch people off guard with it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, again, like that's just kind of something that has just kind of been there for you because I feel like you go to this one actually quite a bit in terms of like when you get two on the ball or when you're hitting the big.
Yeah, I think so too. I think with me doing the little over the head pull, they can also think that I'm shooting it.
Yeah,
And then
no,
if they just look at me for a second too long, then Mina's open.
absolutely. So right here, I think this is getting into shooting now. Yes. Oh, I know it's a drive. My bad. Well, I think obviously, like I wanted to start with this before we get in the shot because it shows your ability off the dribble, right? Like if you draw closeouts, I mean, you have the ability to really create and I mean, I think you shot, if I looked at it correctly this morning, almost 55% on twos this year, and almost all your
With a
shots were at the
broken
rim.
hand.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Like you have that creativity with your footwork around the rim. You have a floater, like you have a lot of stuff you can work
Mhm.
with, which is why to me, when I watch your shot, I think that's where part of what was exciting about last year. And correct me if you feel otherwise. I feel like you really were starting to hit the stride with your shot the last month of the season, which
Yeah,
is not funny, but somewhat funny when you're talking about like dealing with the hand injury.
it
That's
is.
where it kind of came along. Um, because to me, I think
I
continuing to
think it's
get
all mental. I think
yeah.
no, you can talk. I will talk after
Oh,
you.
no, you're good. No, yeah, I was
I'm
just saying
listening.
because to me, like, I think we're about to say the exact same thing. To me, like, I think you have a good shot. I think it's just continuing to get it off comfortably. Because, like, right here, I think
I
this
think that's
one,
yeah.
when I watch this, I'm like, because I was going to ask you about this. Right here, I'm like, this is a shot for you. Like, that's a shot that you can take. And more importantly, like, I think if you're given that, you have so much space to work with because I think if you have a defender who has to come out over top on you, that opens up the drives even more. It opens up your passing. It opens up all the
Yes,
ability
for
to
sure.
continue doing more.
Yeah, I think we had a tournament in Hawaii, and I went, like, 0 for 13
Mhm,
after that game. I literally had, like, a stretch where I was just overthinking, and then I had a game where I made 3 for 3.
mhm,
I think it's just mental.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
So when you're going through, like, kind of a I don't wanna say slump, but when you're having a time when your shot's struggling or
Mhm.
you're not feeling as great with it, how are you approaching that off the court in terms of getting comfortable with it again?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to, use, like, positive self-talk a lot because I
Mm,
think I think there's, like, a study about this that the body actually, like, listens to what you tell them.
mhm.
Like, if you tell yourself that you're a good shooter. I know this year I was, like I was reading a book about, like, the courage to be disliked. I don't know, like a self-help book, and I was writing into it. I was like, "You're a good shooter, like, your hand's good." Like, I was really trying to, just give my body, like, positive influences.
Yeah,
So I
no, I
think
think
that
that's such a good point because it's
get into the
interesting.
gym,
Yeah,
shoot on the
yeah.
gun.
No, definitely, because I think it's funny. I feel like people are starting to kinda come around on it now, but, so often people are like, "Oh, my percentages, that's what matters." And, like, obviously, you wanna be efficient, right? But what makes you a great shooter is, like, the willingness to let it fly, because more often than not, a defender is gonna guard you if they're worried that you're gonna shoot it rather than whether or not it's going in. And
I
obviously
was shooting way more in 3-on-3 this summer.
yeah.
I was taking
No, I
step
saw it.
backs,
You were
just
you were
trying to
you
get
were pulling
comfortable.
up some side steps. I was like, this is
Mhm.
I'm ready to see it.
Yeah.
Because again, right here, like you take it, like it's there, and even
You
if
know
you
that
take it
Kelly
earlier
was
too.
yelling at me?
Oh,
He's
I'm
like,
sure he
"Shoot the
was.
ball!" I was like, "No."
Well, that's
And
why I'm
I
getting on it. Because 'cause I'm like, I know he wants you to shoot the ball. So it's like exactly. Because right here, this last play, I mean, this is
Oh,
this is the vision. Like you can run the handle, you can play off the ball, you can really create stuff, and then all it is just in the flow of the offense,
see, that
rising.
one found me.
Yep,
I'm gonna do that next year. You just wait for it. I'm
yep.
super excited to play again.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see you play again. Well, that's all for film. I appreciate you making the time. Is there anything you wanna hit on before we get out of here?
No, I think, my mid-range game sucks. So I think that's also one of my goals for next year. I don't think it's bad, I think it's also confidence,
Mhm,
but I definitely wanna be able to, be like a threat on offense. I think I need to score a little more if I wanna have a chance to I mean, I wanna get drafted. I wanna try at least. After winning the Olympics, I think nothing is unrealistic anymore. So why
yeah.
not give it all, And I think that's one of the points I also need to get a little better with.
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely that's a key insight. Like, I think being able to get more comfortable with the mid-range, like, I think you showed a lot of stuff last year that was good in terms of being able to kinda create that shot, but just getting more comfortable taking it, right? And,
I
like
pass it off so many
yeah,
times. Somebody else to take the same shot, even though their percentage is not as high. So I just need to, you know, be
yeah.
confident, be a little egotistic sometimes, and take shots.
Absolutely, and I mean, you're gonna have leeway to do it this year, so I'm excited to see that.
Me too. I
Elisa,
mean,
I
I'm going back
appreciate
next week. Oh,
yeah, oh, going back next week already? Nice.
yes.
Well, that'll be exciting for you. Damn, it really is that soon. I realized that the other day, my niece just went back to school today, which is, like, crazy. I have no idea how it's back already, but
Senior
yeah.
year. I just started living in America, and now I'm done. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Hey, well, you never know. We got plenty of time to keep working things out. A lot coming ahead for you. To everyone watching, of course, keep up with everything that Elisa's doing. And Oregon has a really great year up ahead, putting in a lot of great transfers, has a lot of great players coming back. And most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day.